Welcome to the Healers Cafe, the number one show for medical practitioners and holistic healers to have heart to heart conversations about their day to day lives while sharing their expertise for improving your health and wellness. Welcome to the Healers Cafe. And today I have with me Erin Gilbert, a true representative of what it's like to be in practice. So, this is what the podcast is really all about. So, I think we're going to talk a little bit about your 25 years of experience in the mental health field because that's such a important chapter for so many people and I think not acknowledged sufficiently. And I also would love to talk about your collaborative, strength-based, and cognitive behavior therapy, the way that you solution-focused therapy that you use with people to help them. So welcome to our spontaneous show.
Yes, thank you very much. Pleasure to be with you.
All right. So why don't we start maybe with how you got started, what you love about your practice, what it's like to be you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I started in the field. I was working in a clinic, and I was seeing clients, and I was noticing that the evening sessions were filling up just months and months in advance. And so I thought it would really be great to create a practice that specialized in these off work hours to better serve the clientele. And that was sort of the genesis of the of Boston
Mm.
Evening Therapy Associates. And over the years, we've grown, and now we see people all the time now, but always try to include evenings and weekends. Um, I think getting into the field for me was something that I just wanted to do something that had a direct impact on people's lives. Work that I felt had real intrinsic value to it and was making a difference in a tangible way that I could feel. And so it was very satisfying in that way. Um, and the practice has been very fulfilling. We have 40 therapists, very diverse backgrounds and training and approach to therapy, and so we're loving it. We're trying to help people,
Mm.
and we also have a very active website where we try to include a lot of useful information and be helpful to people even if they're not pursuing therapy, just mental health issues, well-being, um, and we try to update that constantly.
Hmm. So what would you say like attracts the key therapists, or I guess 40, that's a lot, it's a lot of people, to working together, as
Mhm.
opposed to being like individual therapists doing their own thing. What's the cohesive gel, so to speak?
Yeah. Um, well, I think that what we try to do is create an environment where we handle a lot of um, the billing, the paperwork, the administrative stuff, so that the therapist can just focus exclusively on being the best therapist they possibly can be. They certainly, you know, could be in individual private practice, but then they would have to also spend a lot of their energy on um, marketing and outreach and developing relationships with referral sources and dealing with insurance companies and uh, that type of thing. So we try to give them, an opportunity to just focus on the clinical work. And we also have a very good um, clinical collaboration, peer
Mhm.
support, um, regular uh, meetings to go over uh, cases, to go over therapeutic approaches, to get continuing education credits.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I think those would be the main advantages.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, it does seem in every field, there's some people that are okay with all of that extra work, but others it's just they just want to do what they love, and the rest is more like a burden, and and you do wonder, is it is it really worth doing it times 40, or when you're 40, maybe there's a system that makes it much easier to handle.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hmm. Yeah, no, so that's interesting. So, but the things that connected everyone is so the support the clinic offers, the management of it, which I guess after 25 years you've got it down pretty pretty tight. Are you one of the main or the main owner of this concept? Yeah.
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 And has that always, sorry.
We have a great practice director
Hmm.
uh, who is who does a lot of the support work and manages the practice and works with the therapists and makes sure everybody is ready to do their best work. So she does a fantastic job.
Hmm. So what's the journey then for like the typical patient? Because on my podcast, I have both, medical like doctors and practitioners of all types. And then I also have, the end user, which we could all be at one point or another. So maybe you could sort of explain what it's like, when people phone, then what happens? Like,
Yeah,
what's the journey? How do they know who they get? Do they pick them?
right.
How do you work all that out?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, and it's very important too. We feel that the kind of therapeutic relationship needs to begin instantly, meaning that it doesn't begin at the first session, it begins at the very first outreach. So when they reach out to us, um, our attitude is if a person's made the decision that they want to pursue therapy, that's a meaningful decision for them. They've probably gone through a process to to do that and to actually reach out. And once they do, they really want to hear back. They really want to get started. And so we make every effort to respond as close to immediately as possible, and certainly within a day, um, because we understand that they're looking for somebody and they're looking for somebody now. And uh, yes, they will go through the website and find a few therapists that they particularly like, and they will ask for them by name. But more often, they will kind of they will want to ask us to place them with um, to make the match, to make
Mhm.
therapeutic match based on what they're looking to do and based on the clinician's specialties, et cetera. And so that's what we will do.
Mhm.
Um, there's a choice if they want to see a female therapist or a male therapist or simply the first available or no preference. And you know, it's our job to kind of match them up with the best person we possibly can.
Mhm. And the people are they mostly psychotherapist or it's exclusively psychotherapist, or do you have like somatic, there's so many different angles towards mental health, right?
Right. Well, they're all licensed therapists in Massachusetts,
Hmm.
but of course they have a really wide range of approaches, so they
Right.
will, yes, there certainly is some somatic therapy. There's all different kinds of therapeutic approaches. Um, but yes, it would all come under the rubric of psychotherapy.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, yeah, that's right. Uh, so, um, yeah, all Massachusetts licensed therapists.
Hmm. Okay. And I was looking a little bit at your journey. I don't know if you want to elaborate a bit more on that, but you write in your bio, my journey began with a quiet but persistent dissatisfaction. And I'm just curious. I mean, there must be many people with that feeling, but that don't identify it as it's like, oh, something they have to cope with or live with. So, can you sort of explore a little bit or share your experience with that feeling, this persistent dissatisfaction?
Hmm. Well, yeah, I think maybe that was referring to what I was saying before of doing a variety of types of work and type of profession
Hmm.
that were kind of meeting the needs of generating some income and being a
Ah, I see.
for
Okay.
society, but not really
Your path.
not my path and not having sort of what I felt was real intrinsic value and moment and worth in the each
Mhm.
day, you know. So
Right, right.
yeah, that's I think what I was,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, because you then say you felt disconnected from intrinsic meaning, but you're meaning the really the connection to what you're doing.
correct.
Right. Okay. And how important do you find that people have a clarity about the meaning of what they're doing? Like how important is that to healthy mental health?
Yeah, I have come to, I've come to find that is one of the most important things in life. It might be something that people get an appreciation for a little bit later in their journey, middle age and beyond, but not necessarily. I do think that developing a clear sense of personal values and personal priorities and identifying, as I said, things that have intrinsic meaning and value to each individual person, so that the satisfaction of knowing that even if things didn't go well today, or even if things were kind of boring today or unproductive or uh, no major headlines, if you're if you're if you're acting according to your personal values, to your personal mission, to your personal direction, there can be real satisfaction, you know, and that's one of the things that I try to do recently with some of my work is help people to identify what are their what are their personal values, uh, what does comprise a life of meaning for them, um, and and how to move that ball forward incrementally every day,
What would your life be like if you were pain free? If you were one of the millions who suffer from chronic pain, the thought of just one day without it may seem impossible. This is often because conventional medicine tends to fall short in the treatment of pain. opting to prescribe pills or recommend surgery rather than getting to the root cause of the problem. But if you are suffering with emotional or physical pain, there is hope. Join the founder and CEO of Bowen College, Manon Bolliger, live online for your body-mind reboot. Learn how to listen to your symptoms and get to the root cause of your pain. Plus, be trained in basic Bowen therapy moves so that you can reboot your body for optimal health. You don't have to live in pain. You can heal. Stop the pain pill cycle by visiting www.yourbodymindreboot.com to learn more and to register.
You know, because I think that, the word happiness is, I think, not the word that people are really going for, being happy. Of course, we all want to be happy, but we need to define what that really means, because if we kind of leave it just out there as, oh, well, everyone knows what it means to be happy, but that's not really true. I think true happiness comes from satisfaction, personal satisfaction, a sense that we're going in the right direction, a sense that that our values are aligned properly. Um, meaning, a life of meaning is, I think, the deepest form of happiness, and
Mhm.
helping people on that journey to identify what that means for them,
Mhm.
specifically, not what they're told it's supposed to mean, but
Right.
but what it really truly is for them.
So, what do you say to so much of the sort of 30s, young 40-year-olds that are basically, or this is the story, they're working, oh, it's the job that pays the rent or the mortgage or whatever, but it's really not what they love. It's not what they're passionate about, but they feel so chained down in the system that they can't really afford to do something different. But let's say their values might be family or spending more time with their newborns, or how do you deal with this prevailing sort of societal issue on that individual basis?
Well, yeah, no, that's a very good question. I mean, first, I first would want to acknowledge, I first would want to hear that story for them.
Right.
If you just presented it, and I certainly agree with that and understand it on a general sense, and certainly believe that's can be fairly pervasive, but everybody experiences that in a very unique way.
Correct.
So I'd
Hmm.
like to hear exactly how that person was experiencing it.
Hmm.
Um, I do agree. I think that that is very common and has a lot of, not necessarily psychological reasons attached to it, but more structural, societal reasons attached to it. But anyway, I think that can be acknowledged, and that reality can be present, um, but that doesn't need to stop uh, imagination, and to stop um, visualization of what is more authentic to them. And it also doesn't need to mean that nothing can be done until that
Hmm.
situation fundamentally changes. I mean, I think that, for example, there are tiny things that seem tiny and innocuous, but can actually have real meaning if we imbue them with meaning. For example, I don't know if somebody feels that like I get, I do think it's a personal value to kind of treat other people with dignity.
Mhm.
That's something that I think is intrinsically good. That's something that I think is a part of my identity as being a good person. And so, you can do that with the person you buy a cup of coffee from. You can have a meaningful
Mhm.
inter just to acknowledge them in a human way that is intentional, you know,
Right.
uh, with a smile, with looking them in the eye, with kind of a human interaction, as opposed to just, give me the coffee and I'm on my
Mm.
way. And it's tiny. It's sort of, yeah, what's the big deal to that? But once you identify that as like, no, that's a piece of who I want to be,
Mhm.
then it
Yeah.
actually becomes something. And so, yeah, I had this terrible day at work doing this stuff I'm not interested in. I feel stuck, I feel trapped. But I did have that moment with this person.
Mhm. Mhm.
That is something. And then it becomes something that you can kind of build on, you know? And so obviously it's a process, but I do think that I like to help people to begin to see their process.
Mhm. Right. And maybe also recognize that it's in the small things sometimes,
I mean, when
like
you think about it, that's, truly, when you think about it, it's like that is what we do, small things. I mean, that's like
mm,
what percentage of our lives are made up with these small things? It's probably, way up in the
yeah,
90% now. Uh,
yeah.
that the headlines are what, we how we summarize our lives.
Mhm.
I'm the director of this, or I did this, or this is what I
Mhm.
have, this is what I've done. But that's not our life.
Right.
Those are just headlines. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's not where we really ultimately derive happiness or satisfaction from. Um,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know.
Well, it's interesting too because, come a certain age when people retire, and get all their life they've mentioned boring, you know, mindless job, and they could hardly wait to go home. Those are the people that end up missing it and, not acknowledging the little parts in it that made their day good, right? And there's actually, there is a fair statistic of deaths that follow that when there's no meaning, not even in the banality of things, because you haven't taken the time to appreciate what there is in what you're actually doing, right? You know, so that's kind of the other side of the spectrum, it's like we have to find the good in what there is on some level, to get through.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that yes, and taking the opportunity to explore it's okay to not know what that is. It's okay to not know what
Mm,
that is. It's okay to sort of like, I don't know what my meaningful values are. I don't know what you mean. I don't even know what you mean by that. That that's okay. We can start wherever the person's at. We but I think it's helping a person maybe to see that that is where your life does not need to change dramatically
mhm, mhm,
to have a meaningful change in perspective.
mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's like if you notice, I'm looking at your office, and that's a very nice, yellow vase with that goes with the tree or the tree, the bird, and I'm like, oh, and that's a bird. That's an, it's got some orange. I wonder if there's an orange, So my mind is like pleasantly, observing this room. And so, once you find that level of just it's pleasant. It's like so that's an experience you have in the moment, and
Exactly.
and then it seems to draw more of it. It's like then you realize, well, you actually walked a part of the way to work, and then you notice this and that, and then suddenly your life becomes more about noticing
Yeah.
your interaction with life than the things you do. I'm talking in truly what people would describe as mundane jobs. When you're
Yeah.
lucky enough or lucky chosen enough or you've chosen to be in the field of helping people, I think that's easy. I mean, there's not a day at work that I don't come back just fulfilled, that there's that level of depth of human interaction. And I mean, yeah, and I guess you can choose that. It can be an arduous path, but those are all they are options. Maybe longer for some than others, but yeah, there's always something beautiful. At least that's how I look at my surroundings.
That's, and that's, yeah, that is great. And helping people to default to that way of thinking can be really helpful too. I do think that defaulting towards a sense of optimism and a sense of beauty is learnable. Uh,
Hmm.
you know, it's, I don't know. I mean, there's a strong, I think about like almost like these a team of debaters, talented debaters that could, one group wants to say that the world is full of beauty and things to be hopeful about, and the other team of debaters is saying the world is full of ugliness and nothing, and nothing to be hopeful about. It's despairing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the difference is that it feels much better
Hmm.
to spend more time in the hopeful, optimistic. That each, you might say, well, each side has a strong case to make.
Hmm.
But if one side feels uh, a much better place to live, then why not go for that? You know,
Right.
why not go for that? That doesn't mean it doesn't, and it's not all or nothing. It doesn't mean that we don't slip. It doesn't mean that we don't
Hmm.
go to the dark, negative
Hmm.
side. Also, that's
Hmm.
okay. It's
Yeah.
just that we're trying to create a baseline,
Hmm.
a home base to come back to, and to the best that you can, you want that home base to be like you described, where you
Hmm.
can find some beauty in simplicity
Hmm.
and the mundane.
So, Aaron, our time is up. I just maybe you could let people know how they can reach you. It'll be up on the website too, but maybe take a moment and share that. That'd be great.
Sure. BostonEveningTherapy.com is our website. My email address is Aaron, Aaron, at BostonEveningTherapy.com. Please reach out anytime.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us at the Healers Cafe. If you haven't already done so, please like, comment, and subscribe with notifications on as I post a new podcast every Wednesday with tons of useful information and tips for natural healing that you won't want to miss.